Hi, this is the Art Life video blog, day 130, and I'm Srule Brachman.
My name is Jacob Wolf. Thank you, Srule, for having me here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming.
So, do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'll be glad to. I always will enjoy doing that. I'm a painter from New York City originally, and I grew up there and lived there until I was in my mid-40s. And then my family and I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and lived there for 17 years, where I painted and got involved in education. And then in 2006, we moved here to Portland because we wanted a place to have some moisture and a larger art community. And so I've been here ever since. Yeah.
So, who were some of your early inspirations when it came to art?
Well, I started drawing and copying paintings and doing paint by numbers when I was about 5. And Vincent van Gogh was always on the wall, painting of Vincent van Gogh's The Sunflowers. And I loved it, and I copied it, and then I did other paintings and drawings, and I drew monsters and battle scenes, and then I went on to art school, art high school, which was called High School of Music and Art in New York City. And some of my greatest influences were some of the teachers I had in high school who were painting teachers. And then I went on to Pratt Institute, where I worked with first and second generation abstract expressionist artists from the New York school. And that was it. I mean, I got hooked. It was my drug, painting in an abstract way, after drawing figures and becoming very involved with the foundations of art history and drawing from life. I wanted to just move away from that and become an abstract artist. And that's what I am now, to this day, 50 years later. And
you started doing abstract 50 years ago.
Well, I started doing it in high school a little bit, but then I would say 48 years ago, actually, in my second year of Pratt. So my second year of college, I was doing abstract painting. And I loved it, and I just continued doing it ever since. And it's all, my abstraction is based in history, art history. I take from cave painting, I take from the surrealists, I take from the early abstractionists, the painters who worked with light, the impressionists, and then of course abstract artists in America starting in the 1930s and moving on to this day.
How do you think your abstract painting has evolved through your career?
Great,
48 years.
Great question. I think it's gone in many different directions, but it's always captured and used and been informed by what I did before. And so right now I'm doing several series of paintings, and they are using elements and ways of painting that I did when I was in college and ever since then. So my whole history of experience adds up to what I'm doing now, and I think everybody generally does that, you know. But definitely I've changed in my styles, but I've always come back to a kind of abstraction that works with what's called figure-ground relationships. In other words, using positive and negative shapes and making them ambiguous. You don't know what is positive and what is negative. And that comes out of abstract expressionism.
Do you go into a painting knowing what you're going to paint, or do you just kind of discover that as you go along?
I think more or less, and that's a really good question, I discover it. I have a sense of what I want to do, but it never really works out that way. And I will start making marks and changing things, and they will grow. And what happens is there's a relationship with the painting that I develop, and I think most artists do, most creative people do, whether it's writing a book or a piece of music or a dance piece. You start giving and taking with the painting. It has a life of its own, and that work of art has a life of its own, and it goes back and forth, and you have a conversation with it, and you build up a relationship, and eventually you come to some conclusion. It may not be the end, or the finish, but there's some kind of conclusion or culminating mark or act that you make, and you put it aside, and if it's finished, it's finished. If it's not, it kind of tells you, I need to be worked on a little bit more. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm noticing it more and more as I get older, and my paintings are telling me, this is done, or you can put it away, we'll come back to it, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a good question. I told you I smoked a joint before I came in. This is kind of like where.
Well, can I just say something about the work?
Yeah.
What I have behind me are paintings that I'm working on that are in process, and I'm working on essentially 3 series. I'm working on these pieces up here, which are finished. These are constructions. They're painted on panel or canvas, and I add wood and paint them to make it one piece, so that hopefully the wood doesn't stand out as something separate from the rest of the painting. And then I'm working on these pieces here, which are like moving lines or shapes. Lines become shapes, and then they start to move. And I'm trying to play with these as signs or signatures of some sort. And I'm working on these, and I'll just move this away, and you can see that this yellow-black one is in process, much more so than that one, the gray and red, which is pretty much finished. And this one I'm working on to sort of resolve it, and I'm making the shapes black shapes a little bit bigger, and the yellow and gray around it, trying to make that stronger so it doesn't fall into space, it becomes a shape into itself. Then I'm working on this piece over here, and that's a series of paintings that I did a while ago, and I'm coming back to them. And these are again about positive and negative, so that you're not sure which is the positive or which is the negative shape. So I'm real excited about those. And then I have a series here that I'm working on. Well, I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't.
Right.
Let's grab that one. Move it over to the center. And this one grows out of a painting. One painting I did back in the 80s. Okay, one painting I did back in the 80s, and this is the first thing that I did to bring it back into a kind of formal element. And I finished this, and now I'm working on a larger one, and I'm going to do a series of these and see how they work out in different colors.
I remember my question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for filling blank space. My question was, do you have a time frame that you aim for when starting a piece? Or, like, do you say, I hope to put like 5 hours, 10 hours into a piece? Or do some go further beyond that?
You know, it's hard to tell. Each piece is again, it has a life of its own. So I can work on a piece for 20 hours, let's say, and that can be spread out over a number of days. And I'll come back to it, it'll say it's finished. You know, I can work on a piece for 100 hours, and it may not be finished. Then I have to start thinking about, have I overworked it? Have I killed it? You know, so you kind of, I try to be conscious and mindful of not overworking the painting, you know, not killing it, still having this life that it should have in it. And paint, acrylic paint is strange. I work with acrylics, and acrylic paint is strange because it can become very dead. So you have to try to keep that quality of the acrylic alive, and that's why they make all these different acrylic mediums to try to spark it up a little bit, because it can dry really flat and plasticky. You know, you don't necessarily want that. I don't. Yeah.
So, where do you show?
Last show I had was in 2013. It was at the Gardino Gallery, and as a matter of fact, one of the people in the building is having a show there now of her metal work. It's opening tonight, and that's on Alberta Street and 29th. Keep it plug. And I showed there, and they were small paintings in 2013. I haven't shown since because I've been building up bodies of work. And my hope is to have a gallery. I prefer a co-op gallery. I like the idea of people working together in a cooperative manner rather than a commercial gallery. So I'm kind of looking for Blackstone or Water, I forget the name of it, but no, Black Fish and Waterstone, two different galleries. They're both co-ops, and I'm going to send my work in here when I get a good body of work together.
Do you do commissions or?
I do, yeah. In fact, I just recently did one for a friend. It was very open-ended, and she asked me to make a painting for her, and I did it, and it was, just do what you feel would be relevant, she said, what would make sense to you, and I did it, and she loved it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So are you on Facebook? How do people get a hold of you?
Thank you for asking. Facebook is Srule Brachman, S-R-U-L-E, B-R-A-C-H, Art, B-R-A-C-H-M-A-N, Art, Srule Brachman Art on Facebook. That's right now my only site for showing my art.
And is that an artist page or is that your personal page?
That's my personal art page, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you want to see your art go in the future?
Great question again. I want to work a little larger. Right now I'm limited because I can only fit this size into my car, but I want to work a 6-foot square. I used to work in New York when I had my studio 8 by 10 feet, but that was ridiculously large, and only very few people can buy those. So now 6-foot square, I want to work larger, and I want to see where these develop and see where they go in terms of their direction. I don't know, so a lot of it is just letting it happen.
Very cool.
Yeah.
The last thing that I wanted to talk about was the gallery that I host.
Mm-hmm.
It's called 4th Effin' Friday. It's the 4th Effin' Friday of the month. The next one is on August 28th, 2 days before my birthday, so it should be a riot no matter what.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Not quite yet. There's a lot to happen before then.
I'm sure.
But there's going to be a ton of artists there. All of the artists that I interview in the past month and a half are invited to come show. There's going to be live music, we paint on the walls, and there's free booze and food, can't forget to say that. And we do a raffle. I asked all of the artists that I interviewed if there's something small that they wouldn't mind donating. And it's not a requirement or anything, but just out of the goodness of your heart, I guess. And at the end of the night, all of the guests that have donated $5 or more towards the Art Life video blog and the 4th Effin' Friday gallery get a raffle ticket. We do a big raffle, raffle off a ton of art from a bunch of artists, and it seems to be a really big hit.
Be there or be square.
Yeah, hope to see you there, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have any last comments, questions, concerns?
Yeah, I would love to see Portland become a much more vital art scene. Certainly coming from New York, there's nothing like that. But Portland's got a lot of good visual artists, and I'd like to see it grow. And I'd like to see more galleries and more activity, so we can all have a chance to show our work.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Actually, yes, it was.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Catch you later.